What is the potential of the Georgia Bulldogs offense? This is something that mostly I, talked about this offseason a lot, and now we have 6 games. We have a 6-game sample size of college football for most teams who haven't had their bye yet to pick through, and Georgia's one of those teams who's halfway done with their regular season. They take on Vanderbilt, and then they'll head into the bye week, and they have a pretty tough month ahead of them after that. But what is the potential of their offense? We've seen bits and pieces. We have not seen everything. I promise you we haven't seen everything. But I can't promise that we will see everything. I just know you haven't seen it all. And part of that is injuries, part of that is scheme, and part of that is just this is just a completely different team than it was last year. I don't think it's a very similar team, the way that they play. This offense does have more firepower, but they're not exploding every single game the way you'd want them to. And the Oregon game, I think, spoiled people with that, and it created a standard and expectation that may or may not be realistic. I do think they could do that to a lot of people, but maybe that's just not the way they're going to win some of these games. So let's talk about what the real potential of this offense is, because I don't think they've tapped all the way into it. Ryan Curley from DAWGSTRUCTION here, talking about Georgia's offense in 2022 and how far they can really go. Before that, make sure you're checking out DAWGSTRUCTION. You can find it at the Red Zone on Clayton Street in downtown Athens, or you can click the link down below. And I know Dean's doing something with the Red Zone t-shirts where you got to email him about that if you want a free t-shirt. And we're going to be pulling them apart tomorrow, Friday, the 14th of October, 4 to 7, starting their happy hour. Thank you to all the people that came last week. To the people that watched on the stream's audio was not good enough. It will be better this time around. I promise you. We're still working out some of the details, but that was our fault for not looking at the chat. I want to apologize. Moving on. Tomorrow. This is going out Thursday, tomorrow, Friday, 4 to 7 Paloma. And we'll stream it on here. I think Georgia's potential is kind of a combination offensively of what they did to Oregon and what they did to Auburn. What did they do to Oregon? Well, they aired it out. They, a lot of side to side, a little bit downfield. They aired it out, quick hitting, boom, boom. They flew down the field. Most of the drives did not take even 5 minutes. And even the methodical ones were very quick. Scored a lot of touchdowns. Against Auburn, ran down their throat. Passing game wasn't working, ran down their throat, featured all 4 running backs, featured Branson Robinson. Good timing. I'm getting better at that. Featured Branson Robinson, the freshman, true freshman from Mississippi. A lot of people compare him to Nick Chubb. He does have similarities to Nick Chubb, but he's different. He's the same in that he's short, bulky, and can really break a tackle. We saw him be able to burst. We saw him score an impressive touchdown. We saw him have a 30-yard run. You got to give him more touches. You got to give Dejan Edwards more touches. I mean, 8.2 yards per carry for Branson, and for Dejan, 6.9 yards per carry. Kenny McIntosh is still your versatile player where you want him in the passing game and you want to hand him the ball off. Not sold on Kendall Milton, but he can't stay healthy. I'd feel differently if he could stay 100%, remain 100%. The other guys have done a better job at that. McIntosh a little bit banged up this year, but looking better. Those guys running the ball the way they did, 290 yards, and now I know 64 of those yards, 62 of them come on Stetson's run. But he's a part of it. He's a part of it, the running game. He's a part of it, and he showed the wheels, and we knew he had the wheels. I just don't think we'd ever seen him run for that long, and it ended up being a touchdown too. They went down Auburn's throat, all right? It was complete. It was, they also went down Oregon's throat. It was just different. It was through the air, one was through the ground. Combine that together is their potential. And they're blowing people out, at least in the scoreboard-wise. And the defense is good enough. I wrote about this a little bit in Final Feelings. I briefly mentioned this. But the combination of what they did to Oregon and Auburn on the offensive side of the ball is their potential. We haven't seen it yet. South Carolina was a little bit more of an amalgamation, but we haven't seen it yet. That is their potential. I preached that all summer. I preached that in the spring, that this offense was going to be better. I still feel that way. All right, we're 6 games in. A.D. Mitchell has been hurt. Ladd McConkey had a Ladd McConkey game, a bad Ladd McConkey game, because I do think Ladd McConkey is a good receiver. They need to get the ball to Bowers more. But establishing a run changes things because it will open up for them. I don't know what was going on with Stetson Bennett in the first 2.5 quarters against Auburn. Didn't look good. Maybe he is dealing with a banged-up shoulder. Should be better against Vanderbilt. And no, Auburn's not a good team, but Oregon's a pretty good team, all right? They're still top 15 in the rankings, and thump. Georgia did that to them. Georgia's thumped everybody but Missouri and half of Kent State. All right. Other than that, they've dominated. And a lot of that's because of what they can do offensively. They can just put up points. I think that they finally dropped 50 against Vanderbilt. I guessed that they had 50-something against Kent State and against Missouri, but I was wrong about both of those. Whatever. I'm wrong sometimes, I admit. But I do think it comes here. And if I'm wrong again, then maybe that's not what this team is, or maybe we just really haven't seen it yet, or maybe they play it safe heading into the bye. An injury-free game against Vanderbilt is going to be really important, but I really am predicting a more balanced offense against Vanderbilt. I think this is a perfect opportunity to balance it and really hone it all together. Matt called it a get-right game on Riding Home that we recorded this week, a get-right game for the Georgia Bulldogs. That definitely could be the case against Vanderbilt, and I think it's time to get your offense right. It's time for Stetson to be more precise. I don't care about his completion percentage that much. I care about his precision as far as the ball placement and everything. It hasn't been good. He's been high, he's been low, he's been back, he's been forth. It's got to be better. They need to establish the run, the offensive line. Tightened up against Auburn. They need to remain that way if they want to blow these people out. And the corners need to play better. The corners have to play better. This is a video about the offense, though. But on the offensive side of the ball, Stetson's got to be more precise. I don't think his decision-making's been as bad as it was last year. It wasn't great last year, his decision-making. I think his decision-making is better, but his accuracy has taken a dip in the second 3 games of this season. The first 3 games, I thought he was pretty precise. And then in the second 3 games, the most accurate he was in the fourth quarter. I mean, he was just dishing, and he was slicing up Missouri's defense in the fourth quarter. I didn't feel that against Auburn. I didn't see that against Auburn. You need to see that. And if they do, whoever it is, whether it's Kendall, Dejan Kenny, or Branson, the run game will open up the passing game more. All right, because the run game hasn't been that great until Auburn, and they've had a lot of downfield shots. They're just not connecting. Imagine when they start connecting on those. Because I don't foresee there being so many misconnections downfield for much longer. These players are too good. Stetson's too good. Brock is too good. Ladd's good. All of them. They're too good to be missing on these connections. So the details, when the details are kinked out, the little things are kinked out, Georgia's potential is to be the best offense in the country, to be better than Ohio State's offense. That is their ceiling. Will they reach it? We'll find out. I think we'll find more balance against. I think you're going to see more balance against Vanderbilt. So, DAWGSTRUCTION, we wrote about that in Final Feelings. Paloma Park on Friday the 14th. That is tomorrow. See you there at 4 o'clock. We're also going to be streaming it. Come join us for some food and some drinks, some football, and come hang out. We'll see you there.